Hello and welcome to Uzreport World News, and my name is Bahram Gafarov. The co-chairman of Caucus on Uzbekistan, Congressman Trent Kelly, together with his colleague, Vicente Gonzalez, filed a resolution in support of Uzbekistan's independence, sovereignty and further development of bilateral strategic partnership, as both countries share common goals and priorities in ensuring sustainable economic progress and regional stability. Congressman Trent Kelly called on Congress to provide comprehensive support for Uzbekistan's large-scale transformations, as well as for strengthening extensive economic, trade, investment and cultural humanitarian ties with the United States.
The Uzbek embassy in the USA has reported that the resolution underlines the United States' continued commitment to the independence, territorial integrity and sovereignty of Uzbekistan and welcomes the country's significant progress in political, economic and social reforms. Besides, the document emphasizes the importance of the reform program of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev enshrined in the action strategy for 5 priority areas of the country's development. President's historic visit to the USA in May 2018 is indicated as a key event on the bilateral agenda. The congressman supported the transformation of the mechanism of bilateral dialogue, such as annual bilateral consultations, into the dialogue of strategic partnership. The resolution specifically recognizes Uzbekistan's election to the United Nations Human Rights Council from 2021 to 2023. The document welcomes the ambitious reform program of Uzbekistan's government aimed at promoting human rights and anti-corruption measures, increasing the transparency of the judicial system and strengthening the accountability of the state officials. According to the resolution, Uzbekistan plays an important role in strengthening stability and economic cooperation in Central Asia. The US-Uzbekistan dialogue in the formats of multilateral cooperation in the CA region, including C5+1, is stressed. Besides, the initiative commends the efforts of the Uzbek government to advance the peace process and the socio-economic development of Afghanistan by promoting internal peaceful reconciliation as well as implementing projects aimed at improving the country's railway and electrical infrastructure.
A newly launched press complex by Uzauto Motors in Khorazm aims at boosting the localization of Damas and Labo models by producing up to 7 million different stamping body parts annually. An official statement from the company quotes:
The production, deployed on an area of 1 hectare, is set to facilitate the reduction of annual import level. New models are set to allow the company to expand its export between 10 to 15 million US dollars next year. The annual production volume is expected to reach 40 million US dollars, with the net profit amounting to 13 million US dollars. The Chevrolet Damas and Chevrolet Labo, the main mini commercial vehicles on the market, have been favored especially by Uzbekistan's small business owners over the past many years. Both come with the 3-cylinder SOHC 796 cubic centimeters F8C engine rather than the smaller 660cc units originally used in Japan to provide more power and comfort.
5 investment projects worth of $2.67 billion is planned to be launched by a thermal power plant system in Uzbekistan. With the lion's share of electricity supply to the population, it has 12 enterprises with 10,050 employees. The recent meeting analyzed the accomplishments in the first quarter and the agenda for the rest of the year.
The task assigned to us this year is to generate 56.7 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity at 9 thermal power plants. Heat generation in the amount of 5.2 million gigacalories. The result for the first quarter showed that this figure is 15.8 billion kilowatt-hours, an increase by 112% year-on-year. We're currently working on 5 major investment projects. Their total cost is $2.6 billion. This year, some $107 million would be channeled towards these projects. The plan for the first quarter was fulfilled by 113% with $20.1 million.
156 electric vehicles were imported to Uzbekistan year to date, a considerable increase year on year. In April alone, the number comprised 65, costing $3.4 million, mostly from China. The State Statistics Committee has reported. Some 119 vehicles were brought in from China during the reporting period. Top supplies list also includes Turkey, South Korea, the US, Germany, and Spain. Uzbek citizens pay twice of the car price if they import cars with traditional engine, while zero customs duties and excise tax apply to electric vehicles. Uzbekistan Airways has launched new flights to Kazakhstan. They will operate between Urgench and Aktau from May 29 on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and from June between Samarkand and Almaty, the press service of the company reports. The costs range from $180 to $200. Kazakhstan has earlier introduced new rules at airports for all passengers. Uzbekistan Airways recommended installing the Ashik mobile app to avoid crowding at the airport entrance in checking whether they have been vaccinated or been in contact with an infected person. A task force comprised of Uzbek and Tajik government delegations held their regular meeting on May 22nd to discuss the demarcation work. The parties exchanged the project demarcation line views and the boundary marks establishment along the state border and inked a corresponding protocol following the meeting. According to the State Committee for Land Management and Geodesy of Tajikistan, the length of the Tajik-Uzbek border currently stays at 1,332 kilometers. Amazon has added the Central Asian state to the list of countries currently accepted to register for selling on Amazon, including Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. Manufacturers from these countries could register at Amazon before, but couldn't sell their goods. Shipment of goods from these countries was not available either. Those eligible to sell goods on Amazon need to be resident in one of these Central Asian countries, have a valid phone number, and have an internationally chargeable credit card. OSCE Senior Election Advisor leading Needs Assessment Mission, Alexei Gromov met with First Deputy Foreign Minister of Uzbekistan, Farhod Arziyev, on Monday. The delegation was informed about the measures to ensure the rule of law, freedom of speech and press, protection of rights and freedom of citizens, promotion of gender equality, as well as improvement of electoral legislation in line with international standards. The OSCE delegation is planning to hold meetings in the Parliament, the Supreme Court, the Central Election Commission and ministries and agencies of Uzbekistan. A plant previously unknown to science has been found in Uzbekistan. According to the Academy of Sciences, this is a separate species of wild onion discovered by members of one of the expeditions in the north of the Fergana Valley on the border with Kyrgyzstan. It's similar to small onion which grows in the highlands of Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. Now the scientists are carefully studying the structure of flower and the seeds of a new plant to make a final conclusion and give it a name.
A volcanic eruption near Democratic Republic of Congo's main city appeared to have halted on Sunday morning after raging through local villages. Video footage showed a smoking trail of lava pouring down on Saturday night as the nearby Mount Nyiragongo erupted. Thousands fled with their belongings on foot, some towards the nearby border with Rwanda. This man from a local village says he woke up and saw the red sky and lava. He, along with other residents, fled and are looking for shelter in Goma. As the sun rose on Sunday, much of the hillside to the north of the town was burned black and houses had been demolished. The sky was once again a cloudy grey. Lava crossed a main road out of Goma, cutting it off from cities to the north. Traffic was in gridlock in most places as people tried to leave or return to assess the damage to their homes. This local resident said the government must figure out how to reopen this road so that residents can travel between Goma and Rwanda. Saturday's eruption appears to have been caused when fractures opened in the volcano's side, causing lava flows in various directions. Nyiragongo's previous eruption in 2002 killed 250 people and left 120,000 homeless. It's one of the world's most active volcanoes and is considered among the most dangerous.
A double dose of the Pfizer or AstraZeneca vaccine is almost as effective against the fast-spreading Indian variant as it is against Britain's dominant strain, according to English health officials. A study by Public Health England found the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was 88% effective against symptomatic disease from the Indian variant 2 weeks after the second dose. That compared with 93% effectiveness of Britain's dominant variant, the Kent strain. And 2 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine were 60% effective against symptomatic disease from the Indian variant. Britain's Health Minister, Matt Hancock.
And the message for everybody watching this, which comes from this data, is that getting the second jab is vital. And I'm really glad that people are coming forward in such large numbers to get the second jab. But we all know that the way out of this pandemic is the vaccine.
He added that the data was groundbreaking and that he was increasingly hopeful that the government would be able to lift more COVID restrictions next month. Under the government's plans, a lifting of remaining coronavirus restrictions is due to take place from June 21st.
A new report in the Wall Street Journal has added fuel to a theory over where the coronavirus came from. On Sunday, the newspaper cited a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence report. They say 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology got sick and sought hospital care in November 2019, months before China disclosed the COVID-19 pandemic. That report goes beyond the State Department fact sheet from January, which said that the symptoms of the researchers were consistent with, quote, both COVID-19 and common seasonal illness. Debate as to the origins of the virus began even before the health crisis became a global one. The Trump White House asserted that it escaped from Wuhan's virus lab. Beijing has consistently denied this. In response to Sunday's article, China's foreign ministry called the news hype from the U.S. and accused it of trying to divert attention. It reiterated that a WHO-led team investigating the pandemic's origins said a lab leak was extremely unlikely after a visit. In March, however, countries including the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. expressed concern about the WHO's investigations. A U.S. National Security Council spokeswoman had no comment on the journal's report, though she said Washington was working with the WHO and other member states to support an expert-driven evaluation of the pandemic's origins, quote, free from interference or politicization.
India's total COVID-19 death toll crossed 300,000 on Monday. The country is trying desperately to save its scarce supply of vaccines by delaying shots for those who have recovered from the disease. The head of a government panel said on Sunday those who have had the disease should wait 3 months before receiving a vaccine, instead of the prior 1-month recommendation. Under scrutiny for his handling of the world's worst rise in coronavirus cases, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made all adults eligible for vaccination earlier this month. Meanwhile, the capital Delhi will start relaxing its strict lockdown if new cases continue to drop, the chief minister said. Delhi has been under lockdown since April 20th, but daily cases have declined in recent weeks after peaking on May 9th. Other states remain in lockdown, including Jammu and Kashmir in the north, where door-to-door style testing has been ramped up in rural areas. The world's largest vaccine-producing nation has fully vaccinated just over 41 million people as of Sunday, around just 4% of its population.
Abel Murrieta was out campaigning, like he is shown here, when a gunman shot him in broad daylight at point-blank range, making him the latest candidate murdered in one of the bloodiest election campaigns in Mexico's recent history. Running for mayor in midterm elections, Murrieta died on May 13th in Ciudad Obregón, a city in the northern state of Sonora. An ex-attorney general of the state, Murrieta, was the 83rd politician killed in Mexico since September 2020, according to one security consultancy. Security analyst Alejandro Hope says the attacks are the most brazen examples of an even larger problem plaguing Mexican politics.
There are threats, there are various acts of intimidation, many of which are kept quiet by the candidates. There are not such showy interventions, but they can be very insidious in the process, which can determine the outcome of the election in some places.
The bloodshed has underlined President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's difficulty in containing gang-fueled violence, an issue he campaigned on. But homicides have climbed even higher since he took office in December 2018. Sonora has been particularly hard hit. Murrieta was a lawyer for Adrián Levarón, a Mexican Mormon of American descent who in 2019 lost a daughter and 4 grandchildren in a notorious massacre by suspected cartel hitmen in Sonora. For the past 2 months, public security has been seen as the main problem facing Mexico, with 2 out of 3 Mexicans saying the government is handling it poorly, according to a survey for newspaper El Financiero published this month.
Belarus has sparked international outrage by forcing a Ryanair plane to divert to Minsk before arresting an opposition journalist on board. Belarus grounded the Ryanair passenger plane flying over its airspace on Sunday for what turned out to be false claims of a bomb on board. Although the flight was on its way to Lithuania from Greece, Belarusian authorities ordered a military fighter jet to escort it to the capital city of Minsk. According to local media, Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko had personally deployed the warplane. No explosives were found on board the jet. Instead, when it reached the ground, authorities detained one of the passengers, Belarusian journalist Roman Protasevich. 26-year-old Protasevich worked for online news service Nexta last year when it broadcast mass protests against Lukashenko. He's now wanted on extremism charges and is accused of inciting riots, allegations he denies. A passenger on board the aircraft said Protasevich had his head in his hands and was shaking when he realized the flight was diverted to Minsk. Later, as he was led away, he reportedly remarked, "I'll get the death penalty here."
When it was announced that we're going to land to Minsk, so the Romans stand up, quickly open the luggage door, take the luggage, and was trying to split the things, like computer, give it to a girlfriend, iPhone or whatever it's called, phone.
After 7 hours in Minsk, the flight retook its course and landed in Vilnius, Lithuania. Lithuania's president, Gitanas Nausėda, said Belarus must face consequences.
It should be noted that such attacks on the opposition have recently become systematic. I'm attending the European Council tomorrow, and we will no doubt raise this issue as well. It's time to stop communicating with the regime just by making declarations. Concrete measures are needed, capable of changing the behavior of the Belarusian regime.
Global leaders followed suit in their condemnation, including U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and head of EU's European Commission Ursula von der Leyen, who tweeted, quote, "Those responsible for the Ryanair hijacking must be sanctioned." Human rights groups say about 35,000 people have been detained in Belarus since August, and more than 1,000 criminal cases have been launched.
Fakhri Al-Tayi and his family lived among some 5,000 antiques in Mosul. His home has now turned into a public makeshift museum, aiming to preserve the city's heritage after many artifacts were destroyed during the war against the Islamic State in Iraq.
After the liberation of Mosul, I came back to my city, which is Old Mosul. I saw our heritage and civilization completely destroyed. I saw that they deliberately destroyed this heritage, and I got the idea to collect what I can from our heritage and to revive what they wanted to destroy. Revive it for the city.
His collection includes different pieces from a variety of ethnicities and religions. Kurds, Christians, Muslims, Jews, and Turkmens have all made their marks in this small museum. Visitor Amjad Salah has lost over 10,000 pictures of his family in the conflict-torn Mosul, but he was able to find antiques that he grew up with in Al-Tayi's home, and they reminded him of his life in the 1960s and the 70s. Al-Tayi has spent $33,000 to fuel his passion. He also accepts antiques from people who donate them to the museum.
So far, these have been the latest news for today. Goodbye, take care.